Each week at this time we do something called a community moment, where we welcome someone from the Oasis community to come up and kind of share a brief thought for the day. It's kind of a 10-minute or less message. It can be a life experience you've had. It could be a topic you're passionate about, something you think we might learn something new about the world from. So if you'd like to get on the schedule, please get with me, because we love bringing up the diversity of voices and experiences we have in this room. Today is going to be a little atypical community moment, but very important nonetheless. I'm going to bring up the president of the board of directors of Houston Oasis, Eric Anderson. He's going to give you guys a little update on some stuff. So let's welcome Eric as our community moment presenter.
Like Mike said, my name is Eric Anderson. I'm the president of the board. This is a little bit of an atypical community moment today. Mike and some of the other members of the board were joking that this is the State of Oasis address, although I don't really like that name. I feel like it's way too grandiose for what it really is, although one of the cool things about Houston Oasis is how things evolve, so you never know. Maybe in a few years we're going to have a big American flag behind me. You're all going to have to clap for 10 minutes after everything I say. I'll have the vice president and John Boehner up here or something, I don't know. Really what this is this is an opportunity for me to get up and just let the community know what the board is up to. I know many of you are proactive and you like to talk to us about it and share your ideas with us, and some of you aren't. You know, we always have public board meetings, and this is really an opportunity for me to tell you that we don't operate like a traditional board. We are not a top-down organization. The board is created to operate in the best interest of the community. If the community and the board are out of alignment, it's the board's fault. So I want to share with you today the vision that we have for Houston Oasis and how we plan to achieve it. Now, about 5 months ago, around the time that I took over as president, myself, the rest of the board, Mike, and some of the key leaders of the community, we all sat down in the community room of an HEB, and we hashed out a strategic plan for our community for the next 3 to 5 years. We were very lucky. It was Gary Taylor. We were very lucky to have Gary Taylor, who does this professionally, help guide us through this process. And what we came up with were 6 areas of focus that we wanted to create goals for the next 3 to 5 years to help us transition into the kind of community we think we can become. Those 6 areas are finance, building search, organizational structure, marketing, child care and youth involvement, and weekly program enhancement. I'm going to take you through every one of those and what our goals are to kind of help share the vision a little bit and open the discussion with the community to make sure everybody's aligned in what we see as the potential of Oasis and what's the best course. So, on the finance side, I know there's been a lot of focus on finance recently. We are not a myopically focused board. Finance is the thing that really makes everything else possible. Once we have the money to operate, we can achieve so many of the goals that we want to. One of the major goals that we came up with was we wanted to increase our monthly reoccurring donations. Recurring donations being important because they help us plan when we know that our income is going to be steady. We wanted to increase our reoccurring donations to fund 100% of our operating budget. I'm very pleased to say, as many of you know, that we reached that goal. But more importantly, I'm pleased to say that I'm hoping to unachieve that goal soon as we increase our operating expenses and move into a new building eventually. So that's something we're going to have to revisit. Of course, during those transitory periods, we've got money saved away to help us with the next step along the way. But having a reoccurring donation means so much more to us than money in the hat, because it's money that we can plan with and we can budget around. Another one of our financial goals is we want to create a more robust system of managing our finances. It's time we act our age. We're a large organization. We've always traditionally had one treasurer, and the treasurer has kind of worn a lot of hats. And when we were a small organization, that's fine. The treasurer can be the bookkeeper, and they can write the checks, and they can manage the budget, and they can do the expenses. But we are a much larger organization now, and we plan on growing into an even larger organization. And so it's important that we separate out those duties so we can more critically focus on each one. Also, it is important, as stewards of your donation, that we plan for the possibility of financial impropriety by creating a system of checks and balances. And that's important to us because we hold ourselves responsible to what happens to your donations. We want to make sure your donations are always going towards the best good and towards what they're intended to be used for. And another thing, we've asked a lot of our community. We have asked our community to come forward and help us on the financial front many times before, and you've always answered that call. It is time that we also start looking for external sources of funding. Believe it or not, there are what we believe are a lot of grants and maybe large donors that we could approach that would be possibly interested in helping the community. Well, we can't just knock on doors or make phone calls for that. We have to have a structured approach to this. We have to have people who have experience in grant writing and approaching foundations to see if there's money available to kind of alleviate some of the pain that the community is experiencing in these donations to maximize what is possible. The next area of focus, and these are in no particular order, by the way, is the building search. This is something, as you know, we have been working on for a long time. We've hit a lot of challenges with it, but we've also met with successes. And I don't want to get anybody too excited, but we are right now in the process of negotiating with a realtor for a space that I would consider to be an A-plus location. Now, like I said, I can't promise anything because, negotiations sometimes do fall apart, and it's important that we don't sell ourselves short and get into a situation that's not appropriate for us. But I feel confident that we are on the right track. We are on our way to securing our location, which has been something that's very important to us, and it's something we've talked about for a long time. Beyond just finding this space, you also have to move into the space. It's not like one Sunday we can be here at Eddie's, and next Sunday we all just show up to the new space. There's a lot of things we have to take care of. We have to get our own chairs, we have to set up our sound system acoustically, we need to test to make sure everything's fine. There's a lot of preparation that needs to be done in that. And more importantly, we then have to form a facilities management team, something we've never had to have before. That it has to answer all kinds of questions, from the very big questions of how the facility is going to be cleaned and maintained, to the very small questions of what is the procedure of giving out keys? Who is responsible for making sure it's locked at night? Who is allowed to open the facility on their own? Are we just going to say anybody in the community can borrow a key and go open it up? Or do we have some kind of a procedure to make sure that there's always a responsible party there supervising to make sure the facility is being appropriately used? Those are the kind of questions we're going to answer with our facilities management team. The other area of focus I wanted to talk about is our organizational structure. Like I alluded to earlier, it's time we start acting like our size. And when we were a small group, it's fine that we kind of have these informal positions and that everybody's kind of on board just taking whatever they can responsibility-wise to make sure things are getting done. But as a large organization, we need to outline a strict organizational structure. We need to create a summary of duties and expectations for every role. We need to make sure that we have that in place because people get burned out. Something can happen. People can get sick, people move away, and we need to be able to transition people into those key important roles seamlessly by having a formal structure in black and white that anybody can read. On the marketing front, marketing is I think the focus for the last couple of years has really been on finance because as a growing organization, finances is the means to growth. But marketing, I believe, is the area of focus for the future of Oasis. You've heard Mike talk about this. You've heard a lot of people talk about this. There are over 6 million people in the greater Houston area. And according to recent surveys, religious nuns, which is a key demographic for Oasis, makes up about 23% of the population. Now, I'll let you do the math on that. But the bottom line is we have the ability to grow far more than we are right now if we have the right marketing in place. And so one of our goals with marketing is we want to develop a comprehensive marketing plan. And beyond that, we also want to have more of a presence in the media. Now, I actually wasn't, when I wrote this talk, I wasn't expecting Helen to be here, and I'm sorry to pick you out like that, but that is something that Kansas City Oasis has done extremely well, is managing their public face to the media. And something that's so great about having this Oasis network is we can learn from each other. And we can learn what the strategies are. And I think what we would like to do at Houston Oasis is have a PR coordinator, a designated person who prepares press releases every time we do some kind of event. Now the press releases, probably aren't going to get picked up most of the time, but as many of you know, and as I know, there are slow news days, and they will sometimes get picked up. And this is media coverage that could be extremely valuable to us. Beyond that, I think a PR coordinator should also have a press kit ready on our website. So if anybody wants to do a story on us, they don't have to reach out to us and say, can you send me some pictures of the community? Can you give me some good quotes? Can you give me some statistics? We should have that already in our press kit. For anybody that wants to do a story on Houston Oasis, they can grab that and they can say, here's some great snapshots of Eric up front moving his arms around. and what not to build an article around. Now, one of the most important things, and something that differentiates us from any other free thought or humanist or what have you group, is our childcare program. Childcare is critically important, because it is something that makes us completely unique here, and I think it is one of the biggest reasons for our success. I love the Houston Atheists organization, and I go to their events sometimes. But I'm sorry, I'm not going to take my 3-year-old to the Stag's Head meeting, okay? There are a lot of atheist or humanist or free thought organizations that don't focus on childcare, and we have differentiated ourselves by making ourselves a family-friendly, community-oriented environment. And so one of our goals was to appoint a childcare coordinator, somebody to head up the children's and youth programming at Oasis, and we've done that. I'm sure many of you know Amy Bakken is doing a fantastic job as our child care coordinator. Yes, absolutely. She came in with so much organization and so much written out and policies and rules, and I've just been supremely impressed with the job she's doing there. Another thing we want to do is we want to create more youth programming. Now I look around the room and there aren't too many teenagers in our group right now, but maybe that's because we're not doing enough to appeal to that group. I'm sure that community-oriented, free-thinking humanist teenagers exist. And that's something that we can do, especially once we have a new building, to appeal to that group. So creating a youth program would be something that we should absolutely explore. Also, everybody here knows, 7 nights a week it seems like, there's something going on at Houston Oasis. You can look at the private Facebook page and you can look at the events and you can see that there's a meetup going on here, and there's a puzzle night going up there, and there's a charity event here. But the bread and butter of our organization has always been our weekly program. And so we want to create a renewed focus on that. We want to try and bring in some bigger speakers. We've had a lot of success bringing in big speakers before, and we've got a lot of big speakers on the horizon. We want to run with that, and we want to see just how possible it is for us to bring in some real big names for some excellent weekly programming for everyone. And also, more subtly, we want to make sure that we are creating a welcome environment for all of our newcomers. It's something that can fall between the cracks, We all come in and we're all excited to see our friends, and we immediately go into our little groups and we start talking about our weeks and whatnot. And we can forget that there's new people in here who might feel uncomfortable, who are awkwardly, holding their cup of coffee. We need to make sure we step outside of our groups and approach those people and make them feel welcome. And specifically board members, this is something Mike did a great community moment on. We need to learn names, not just learn names because we don't want to have an embarrassing moment, but learn names because we genuinely care about people. I kind of want to close here by reminding everyone that we do have public board meetings, that this is a two-way conversation, that the board, again, is here to serve at the pleasure of the community, not vice versa. And we value your feedback, and we want to make sure that we're in alignment. Look at how far we have come. 3 years ago, this was nothing more than a couple of people sitting around a kitchen table talking about an idea. And now, what we're doing is spreading across the globe. And I thank each and every one of you for being a part of it. Thank you.